when I told my friends that I'm going to Podgorica in Montenegro, some of them that already have been here, they told me like, what are you doing here for 3 days? Like, there is nothing to see and nothing to do. And of course, that sparked my motivation, my interest to prove them wrong. After staying here for quite a while now, obviously they were wrong. But one thing that I learned from the locals, Podgorica is a city that you have to explore, where stories have to be told about it to really get an idea of why it is a special city and why it is worth exploring. So let's do that, let's go. Let's start a bit outside the city. Before heading to Podgorica, I booked a free walking tour, something I often do when visiting a new city. However, the tour fell flat, but I got invited on an e-bike ride combined with roadside trash cleaning. An offer I couldn't refuse. Always up for meeting locals and keeping the environment clean, I joined in. We didn't just ride through the countryside, but also visited Medun, a historic village 12 kilometers from Podgorica. Medun is one of the oldest settlements in Montenegro, dating back to the 3rd or 4th century BC. Originally inhabited by Illyrians before later becoming a Roman fortress. Today, Medun is a small village with ruins of the ancient fortress, a church and graves. The Orthodox church, built in the 18th or 19th century, stands as one of the few remaining structures. Right next to it, overlooking the valley, is the grave of Marko Miljanov, a Montenegrine warrior, tribal leader and writer, buried beside his wife Stefa. Miljanov is remembered not just for battles against the Ottoman Empire, but also for his work as a self-taught writer, documenting Montenegrine customs, ethics and heroism in his famous book Examples of Humanity and Bravery. He emphasized values like honor, justice and humanity, making him a national icon. After Medun, we cycled back and started collecting some trash, a rising problem in Montenegro, as I was told. I was happy to contribute, and meeting like-minded people while traveling is always a plus. So back to Podgorica. It is a relaxed city, especially if you move away from the main streets. It has a mix of different architectural styles, shaped by its long history and diverse influences. First stop, coffee, but in a rather unique place. Kava bookstore and Ithaca cafe are located inside the old Ottoman-era hammam, tucked under a bridge. When the bridge was built in the early 20th century, the bathhouse roof was removed to make a room. Today, this hidden spot serves as a cozy cafe and cultural space. Next up is one of Podgorica's most famous landmarks, the Old Bridge, spanning the Ribnica river near its confluence with the Morača. This bridge dates back to the Ottoman period and was a vital link to the Old Town. It was destroyed during World War II, but later rebuilt. While the bridge and surrounding parks are popular catering spots, it's clear that trash cleanups efforts, like the one I joined, are much needed. This is especially frustrating when you see how clear and pure the Ribnica and Morača rivers actually are. Just above the bridge are the ruins of Ribnica fortress, built between the 9th and 11th century, during Byzantine rule. When the Ottomans took over in the 15th century, they expanded and reinforced it. The fortress remained strategically important until the 19th century, when the Austro-Hungarians no longer found it useful and let it fall into ruin. So, as you can see, the castle is not very well cared for. On the other side of the river, though, there is one of the most famous buildings of Podgorica. Hotel Podgorica, built in 1967, is one of the city's most striking landmarks. Designed by Svetlana Kanaredović, one of Montenegro's most renowned architects. The hotel blends seamlessly with its surroundings. One of its most distinctive features is the use of river stones in the exterior walls, inspired by traditional Montenegrine construction techniques. The hotel has 44 rooms in different categories, with affordable prices for a 4-star hotel, starting at €70 in the off-season. I considered staying here, but my hostel was only €30 for 3 nights, so I postponed my stay. Now we're in Stara Varoš, the old town. Basically there is no real historic old town preserved. So only a few houses of Ottoman times are really preserved. All the rest is at least renovated, modernized. Overall in Podgorica you can find many different building styles, from the Ottoman times to the times between Ottoman and communist times. There you can see more European style buildings. Then from the communist time you can see a lot of Brutalist buildings, which we will see in a minute.
This part of the city feels almost forgotten, even though it could serve as a historical center. The most visible remains of the Ottoman period are its mosques and the clock tower. Many mosques were damaged during World War II and have only recently been restored. The clock tower, built in 1667, was Podgorica's tallest building for centuries.
So I'm now on the other side of the river, and this whole part was only connected to, or was only built after Montenegro became a part of Yugoslavia. And this is why in this part of the city you mainly find Brutalist or communist era buildings, many in the Brutalist architecture style. And one of those buildings is the National Radio and Television building center, I don't know.
Podgorica has several examples of Brutalist architecture, and one of the most prominent is the RTCG building. Brutalism, which became popular in the 1950s, is known for its raw concrete structures, geometric forms and lack of decoration. Many people hate it, but I actually like it. Despite its harsh fortress-like aesthetic, Brutalism was meant to be affordable, functional and durable, a direct response to the post-World War II need for practical architecture. Across the city you even find a Brutalist church, the Church of the Holy Heart of Jesus, built in 1969. It's rare to see religious buildings in this style, but this is the second Brutalist church I've visited in a few months. Religion wasn't forbidden in socialist Yugoslavia, but it wasn't exactly encouraged either, making this church construction particularly interesting. Sadly, it was closed when I visited, but even from the outside, it's an imposing structure.
Where we are now is maybe a socialist building masterpiece. We're basically in the center of Block 5, which is a Brutalist housing complex built within the socialist times, of course. And despite being surrounded by a lot of streets, heavy traffic, here you have calmness, quietness. You even have kindergarten. It's like very green. You have this like sense of community here, like it's a place for people to meet.
Block 5 isn't just a housing complex, it's a symbol of Yugoslav socialist urbanism. Built in the 1970s, it was designed for high-density living, featuring schools, parks and communal spaces, to create a self-sufficient neighborhood. Architect Vukotar Tupa Vukotic embraced Brutalist design using raw concrete, geometric forms and a focus on functionality. Unlike Soviet-style blocks, Block 5 follows Yugoslav modernist ideals, balancing state planning with architectural creativity. Today it's an icon of socialist area city planning, a mix of nostalgia, history and bold design. Love it or hate it, Block 5 is a true socialist masterpiece. Just across the street is our next stop, Podgorica's most famous modern church, completed in 2013.
So this is the Church of the Resurrection of Jesus Christ. As you know, I'm not that into religion, not at all. So usually when I show you places like this, they're connected with some interesting or cool stories.
It's the largest Orthodox church in Montenegro. Its interior is covered with stunning frescoes painted in the traditional Orthodox style. Showing biblical scenes, saints and historical figures. The most controversial fresco shows Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels and Joseph Tito in hell, a rare political statement in religious art. So, Podgorica is a city that reveals itself slowly. As I was told, you have to explore beyond the obvious. There are stories waiting to be discovered. This video is just a short introduction to what the city has to offer. Let me know what you think about this video or Podgorica in the comments. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, hit the like button. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. And as always, I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!